to run the world, and I'm really happy about that. Please welcome back Mr. Stephen James Boyle.
I'm glad we started with a sad song because holy shit. Okay, cool. This poem is called, well, you know what? I think I should start differently. My name is Stephen Boyle, and I have this poem I want to perform, but I think it's rather profane. So before I do, I think you should know, I used to have ADD, but it's okay because I just have trouble focusing now. I'm going to try to explain, but before I start, back in junior year of college, I was on Adderall, and so were all of my peers. It was around this time that I found a new shrink. He was an impossibly old, gray, bald man who I thought looked wise, seasoned, and well-studied, until the first session when I told him I was gay, and he responded with asking, "Do you remember ever showering with your mother?" I knew this was profanity. Even by my standards, Freudian profanity captured in a horrendous confusion of causation, seared into my pharmaceutically focused brain. I think I'm better now, but I got scared that I go too far when I start talking. And I test people's limits. See, I love words. I absorb them. I devour them with a weed munchie-like hunger. When you tell me a story, I like to think I'm in your head, warming my hands by the synapses firing. Unless I'm not, and I'm thinking about that time I came without touching myself at all. Poetry and profanity done right and timed well is so satisfying that Shakespeare started making up words like cold-blooded or savagery. When a word didn't exist that defined a notion that Shakespeare envisioned, he made up a new one. Like jaded, which defines my relationship with profanity. See, I think political correctness is a plague. People don't know how to cope with being offended anymore, and it's a huge problem when you have trouble focusing. I hate the term as a writer, but as a poet, I pay particular attention to the words I'm writing meticulously until the word doesn't look right. Until I'm saying, until it doesn't look right, I'm spelling it out. I'm like, U-N-T-I-L, and it's on paper. But like, it looks stupid, right? So I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna say something else. Fuck until. Until is no fabulous. Fabulous, oh God, I love the word fabulous. I love that there have been moments in my life that I've used the word fabulous and meant it with all of my fabulous little heart. I love that there exists a word as earth-shattering, stunning, and powerful as awesome. And how we use it to describe something that's fucking not, like a cheeseburger. Or how that pretty girl in Acid told me she was a professional music festival hula hooper. And I was like, awesome. And what I should have said was, you don't know this yet, but your life is fucked. Oh man, and the word fuck. It's honestly like a drug, isn't it? Did you know that screaming obscenities like fuck can trigger your brain into chemically doling severe pain and stress during trauma? Did you know that someone screaming fuck with gusto while you're trying to learn how to drive will cause lifelong scars, Mom? She's not here, but she'll see this eventually. I think profanity is sometimes so powerful that it becomes our shields when we feel vulnerable. For instance, before I start this poem so we're on the same page, who here said fuck while coming? Come on! Right! Because even in the infinite, vulnerable, mind-numbing warm abyss that is a toe-curling orgasm, our cloudy, empty brain still finds fuck as this beacon of white light somewhere through the mist and cum. I lost my place. Yeah. I get scared that some words are so powerfully profane that they can kill a performance. Or, you know, become somebody's identity. Like if I say the N-word, if I say the N-word in a spoken word poem, the audience might all turn on me. I might never perform again because the name Stephen Boyle will be synonymous with the powerful word racist. I'm not gonna do it, but I might. No. This poem's being recorded. What if it got published? No one would actually watch the video and understand the well-thought-out context of saying the N-word. They just read the headline, white male poet says, drops the N-bomb. And I'll still get my ass kicked. But I'll appreciate the irony as I try to explain to my attackers that if they had only watched the video, this moment was in the poem, or would be if this was the poem. Where was I? I don't want to offend anyone. Like if I said Nazi. Nazi is a profoundly powerful word. It's illegal to call somebody a Nazi in Germany, which I find both absurd and a little bit warranted. Those twisted sick motherfuckers killed a bunch of fabulous homosexuals and my 1/4 Jewish ancestors. If I throw the word grammar in front of Nazi, though, the power is diluted. These aren't murderers who get a half-chub at the thought of genocide and a master race. They're the assholes who comment on my poems and tell me I used a comma incorrectly. I worked really medium for this English degree, and there are no rules in poetry, so don't be an asshole. Actually, I take that back. You know why? Because buttholes have changed. Seemingly overnight. They're now commonly hairless, bleached, and evidently widely regarded as edible. No, really. People are eating booties like groceries, and I didn't make that up, because that's in a song, like a top 10 song right now. Rimming is on the rise, people. People are bringing their buttholes to the spa for steams and clay masks. I own a bidet, and I think everyone should. Because you can't help but feel blessed when you know that the devil was the one who put single-ply toilet paper in most offices, schools, and weed dealers' homes to torture our leather Cheerios. But despite the progressive new view on balloon knots, declaring someone an asshole is still unbelievably satisfying, like calling someone a dick, or the less utilized shit for brains, or my personal favorite, putz, which means stupid or worthless. You get to pick, and I think that's fantastic. Another word I refrain from using in the poem I'm about to perform is bitch. I think it's become far too dynamic. It's like fuck now, and like fuck, bitch can replace any word and go anywhere with enough imagination. Oh, that's bitchin', bro. Oh, that hurt like a bitch. I love you, bitch. And the female dog, I think her name's Ann Coulter. Right? And speaking of cunts, synonyms for vagina are never used correctly, and it makes no sense. The vagina gestates, cultivates, and dispenses human beings, but at the same time is this delicate meat flower thing that I haven't fully figured out yet. Nor do I know what a man in a canoe has to do with anything. All I know is that from a biological standpoint, a dick makes like a pussy makes a dick look like a pussy. And I think we use it wrong. Okay, I'm gonna get to this poem in a little bit. But first, does this sound familiar? Oh my god. I've been drinking like all weekend. I'm such an alcoholic. I always find this really confusing. Do you have a slight buzz or a debilitating disease? Is this a cry for help, or are you in some deluded way bragging right now? It's profane. Like, why did my peers in middle school call me a druggie because I tried and survived a hit of marijuana? Why do girls ask me if I think their boyfriend is gay because of trivial bullshit like how he jerked off with a friend when he was 13? We screw up the power of words when we chip and carve them accordingly so that they'll fit into our agenda. We don't respect the concept, just the power. We see this all the time with the misuse of God, but people do this with other powerful words like misogyny, racist, Christian, nigger, faggot, retard, and feminist. Oh, and chemical. Oh my god, and if you don't think chemical deserves to be on that list, you have no idea what stupid people have put that word through. Profanity is how we called Native American victories against American genocide massacres, while American victories were battles. Or how we think of prostitution as a bad thing, but words like sugar and trophy are exempt because I guess it doesn't count if you're a live-in. Or how Abrahamic religions call homosexuality an abomination when they provoke much more unspeakable acts of violence than Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, or arguably John Travolta, who just wanted a massage as far as we know. Words are sacred. I think they're precious. That's why bad people burn books and censor the internet. Once powerful words become tarnished with their abuse, like the word literally, which literally kills me. We lose them forever, and it becomes offensive and profane. I think great people respect great words. Not that the poem I'm going to perform in a little bit is anything special, but Harvey Milk helped the LGBT community stand up against a society who placed the blame of a blood plague, body count, HIV on our backs. A virus that stalked us in the shadows that we were forced into by words like faggot, sin, and abomination, unashamed and unafraid and seemingly silly. Harvey pulled us from the dark and said, "I'm here to recruit you." How badass is that? Like when he said, if a bullet should enter my brain, let it shatter every closet door, and then getting shot 5 times, twice in the head. That's a lot of closet doors to help shatter mine. Martin Luther King used his powerful voice to drown out powerful profanity like nigger, negro, and separate. Those words still echo today. His eternal ghost is present, painting his words in black blood. He chose the word dream and breathed into it a power that a bullet couldn't kill, that the 1,000 shot today only wounded, while we wait for the dream during the same nightmare. We should always be looking for the words that define us and never succumb to the ones that can't. I am not a faggot because I didn't take that shot with you, Brian. I'm a faggot because I suck dick and I like the taste. But I'm still not a faggot because gay people, unlike nacho-flavored Doritos, make terrible Kindle. Besides, if you think drinking isn't a gay thing, you have never drank with a gay man. I have to drag my hangovers to brunch for mimosas or they make fun of me. Before I start this poem, let's be clear. Someone who understands what the word feminism means would never legally force an unwilling man out of his income and time on this earth when she can fulfill her dreams of being a parent by herself. The only reason that this is an option for women is because it was created in a time where women were thought to be useless and unable, and by reaping the benefits of this archaic arrangement, it shows that you agree, or just stop saying you're pro-choice if you don't know what that means. Every ethnicity is capable of being racist, I think. Women can be sexist, because men exist. Gay men are homophobic, but I think femphobic is more appropriate. Either way, it's tacky. Not all trans people are heroes. Not all soldiers are worth celebrating. Lots of families are toxic and worth cutting ties with. And if you're having trouble with any of this, it's not because it's profanity. It's because you're not ready for the reality where everyone is flawed and biased. Profanity is casually self-diagnosing when you know damn well that you're not a doctor. I don't think you have A.D.D. I don't think you have OCD. I just think you like things clean and organized, but that you've never washed your hands with burning hot water so that your kids didn't die. I don't think you're bipolar. I think you use that phrase to justify how awful you are to be around, but have never had an episode where you were just as happy laughing yourself to sleep as you were at the thought of never waking up again. And while I'm at it, I think a lot of people are lying about the severity of their thyroid issue. I don't want to be sensitive or politically correct. I think it'll all make sense when I read this poem in a little bit. I don't think it's profane. I guess what I'm trying to say is that profanity is what you make it. It's a concept as ambiguous as beauty, and I often think that they're one and the same. Sometimes a sunset can be so beautiful that it's offensive. Sometimes an act of bigotry, like Kim Davis for instance, is so profane that it's awesome. But like in the cheeseburger kind of way. If you're confused, that's okay. If you had trouble following, I'm sorry for putting you through that, and I'm going to wrap this up and maybe you'll understand when I get to the poem. I'm just upset at the misuse of words. I am not a misogynist because I wouldn't trust Hillary Clinton in a game of Monopoly, let alone with my country. Wait. But that's because I play Monopoly with Hillary on Wednesdays, and last week Bernie couldn't make it, so she invited these Koch brothers, or Koch brothers or something, and they wouldn't let me be the banker, which I thought was sketchy. And I started to feel like they were teaming up on me. And excuse me for getting a little too real right now, but it got weird and one of those dudes fingered me. And now I own an actual hotel on an actual boardwalk, as long as I don't tell you which brother did it. Because Monopoly. But the fact that Hillary just watched while it happened, and I think that she's a monster, doesn't make me a misogynist. I'm a misogynist because, well, I hate women. My mom was awful and I've been taking it out on women ever since. Everywhere. Also, because growing up, you bitches always stole my love interest and then came to me to complain about it 2 months in. The fuck? I am not racist because I genuinely think white dick is my favorite dick. I'm sorry. Nor am I racist because I only think magic tricks and pranks are worth watching when black people are in them, because they have a zero tolerance policy to scary situations, and their oh hell no reaction is pure gold on camera. Facts aren't racist. I am not racist for refusing to be one of those people who beat around the bush when describing somebody of color. If I don't catch your name and you're an Asian wearing a beanie, that's your name now. I am racist, because I was young when 9/11 happened and my country conditioned me to look down on Middle Eastern people and French fries. I am racist because I can't help but feel that certain outspoken people of color make assumptions about my life as a white cisgendered man. I feel like these people want me to be ashamed of the few blessings I got out of the arrangement. But the minute that somebody decides that our individual struggles are more worth comparing than our accomplishments, I've already decided that I'm better than them, but for reasons beyond our skin. Maybe that's not actually racist at all. I take that back. I am not fattest. Everyone brace. I am not fattest or fatphobic because I think of morbid obesity as a debilitating disease where the vast majority of cases are curable through diet, exercise, and willpower. I am fattest because assholes like Dr. Oz have careers feeding off of insecurity, desperation, and learned helplessness by selling snake oil and juice to people who want quick cures for bad habits. I am fattest because one day there's going to be a cheap, effective, readily available cure for obesity that requires no diet, exercise, or effort at all, and won't make you violently shit yourself. And when this happens, I guarantee you obesity will disappear into fat air, and with it the rampant thyroid shaming. Gay men will lose fat girlfriends who can finally have their cake and eat a dick too. I'll be relieved to never have to hear anyone tell me nonsense like real women have curves, or that something called dad bod is something that I should want to have sex with. Do you remember showering with your father? We live in a very sensitive world, and I think if we put half as much effort into making sure we are worth respecting as we did demanding respect and labeling those who don't give us it with unnecessarily powerful words, things would be better. I just don't like how we turn our problems and struggles into dick measuring contests of who suffered more. There is some relationship between the glorification of victimhood and people's need to be offended that ruins powerful words and turns them into useless, mindless profanity. Now I know I said I would read you this poem. It's called Profanity, or Find an Open-Minded Audience. And it goes like this. Curious, I sought the definition of poetry. It was wordier than I expected, and I couldn't help but reject it. I liked my meaning more. Poetry, a medium best defined, and mostly simply put, as words we don't just read or recite, they're words that you experience. That being said, I read a poem about A.D.D, off of amphetamine, except to edit. The poem has turned into a strange and sometimes offensive social commentary with little to do with the original concept. It's perfect, but it's hardly a poem. This is now the poem. It has a rather large intro. Thank you very much. My name is Stephen Boyle.